sleep. Sure. Maybe here if it was cold, but no, you sleep on the roof. And you sleep on the roof. It's hot. And, right, get some breeze up there. And then this is where you do your living, and then you would keep your animals maybe just outside your house. So this is basically how you live. One room house, on the roof, and you did everything here. This is desert living. So let me tell you a little story about somebody in the Old Testament who lived in the desert, besides Abraham. So this is Genesis 13, and in Genesis 13, I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit, but Genesis 13, verse 12, Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain, and pitched his tents near Sodom. So Sodom is down at the southern end of the Dead Sea. So we're in the southern end of the Dead Sea, our hotel. So just not too far away from there is Sodom, ancient Sodom. And so Lot lived in this area. Remember, they separated? And Lot came down here, and this is where he lived, down here in this area in the desert. He pitched his tents near Sodom. And then this ominous statement, verse 13. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, and were sinning greatly against the Lord. Sodom was notoriously violent and arrogant. And we can follow the story in the next few chapters. So are you with me? Lot's in Sodom, living in the desert. Now let's skip ahead to Genesis 19. Genesis 19. You ready? I'm going to start in verse 1. So Lot's in Sodom. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. You know that now, right? Lot he's a somebody in Sodom. He's sitting in the gateway. When he saw them, these two angels arriving, these two visitors arriving, when he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. What is Lot doing? Offering hospitality, just like Abraham. He's offering hospitality to these two visitors who have come to the gate in Sodom. Now these visitors, when Lot offers it, they say, no, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. But he insisted, you are not spending any night in any square. You're coming to my house and getting my food and coming under my roof, because I swear I'm going to Are you with me? This is hospitality. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them. Lot went outside to meet them. Shut the door behind him. What's he doing? Protecting the guests inside his house. This or called a mob, but this angry group of men is outside his house, and they come knocking on the door, and Lot goes outside. And he doesn't let them come in. He's protecting his guests. He shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends. Oh no, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have two daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. What do you think about that?
Awful.
It's amazing.
Pretty ruthless, it seems like.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Right? They were having the angels. Not that they're more important than human.
But they were visitors. He doesn't know that. He recognizes that there's visitors providing hospitality. I don't want to spend a long time in that big debate here, because this could go on forever. But I'm just going to say that this is a mysterious text. And to our modern moral ears, it makes us shiver. Because nobody putting their hands on my daughter. ancient Middle Eastern culture where hospitality is the highest value. And I know this seems strange, and I know it's weird, and I know we would condemn it. But in some way, Lot will do anything to protect those visitors. I know, I'm not solving it for us. I can't figure it out. I probably wouldn't have done it, I don't know. But if I was a Middle Eastern man, maybe I would have. You can't put yourself in another person's culture.
Dan, what were the repercussions for someone if they didn't show hospitality? Like,
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
You could be killed.
yeah. So
I mean, you could be
could have been
killed.
self-preservation.
Oh yeah. And this is the way it works in the desert.
Yeah.
If you don't abide by the hospitality rule, then you're out. We kill you. I know, but we can't put ourselves in other people's cultures and look at things through other people's eyes. Do you know what I mean? We are so narcissistic sometimes. And we think everything is about us. And everything must be viewed through our eyes. And everyone else in the world must conform to our standards and view things the way we view them. And I'm telling you, that's just not the case. That's just not true. Because it might just in fact be that we ought to be looking at other cultures and we ought to be doing what they're doing. I'm not saying we're going to do this. But you know what I mean? I'm just making a point here. Overall principle. I don't understand this, but somehow Lot is trying to uphold the value of hospitality in a way that probably we wouldn't agree with or like or that sends shivers up our spine, but nevertheless, I think that's what he's trying to do. Now, I don't want to, again, have a long talk, but just ask this question. Why did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? Because they were destroyed. And, they were destroyed. And they were destroyed. Because there was an outcry against them. Why did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? Because of what?
Sin of pride.
Okay, sin of pride.
All that heavy
Oh, wait a minute. Bogerman, say that again.
Evil and lack of hospitality.
Bingo. Now, I want to have a long talk, but I think the traditional answer in some of our circles is that Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed for their homosexuality. And I know it's a carnation. I'm not talking about that in this house in the top. But they were destroyed for homosexuality. But listen to Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 49. Ezekiel 16, 49. Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, unconcerned. They did not help the poor and the needy. They were haughty and did detestable things. According to Ezekiel, what does he think the sin is? Or what is God revealed to him the sin is? Arrogance, overfed, unconcerned, not helping the poor and the needy. Can you think of a culture, a Christian culture, that we might hesitantly say that about? I can. It's a culture that I live in. And it's a culture that I've been a part of. I'm sorry to say, that has been me. I have been arrogant. I have been haughty. I have been overfed. I have been unconcerned about the poor and the needy. I have not shown hospitality to my neighbor. And that's what he says. There are several other passages. I'm just going to skip over them. But Matthew chapter 10. Matthew chapter 10. Jesus sends the disciples out, verse 11. He says, whatever town or village you enter, search for some worthy person there and stay at his house until you leave. As you enter the home, give your greeting. If the home is deserving, let your peace rest on it. If it is not, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake the dust off your feet when you leave that home or town. I tell you the truth, it will be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town that did not show hospitality. show hospitality, if you don't welcome people, if you don't have concern for the poor and the needy, then you stand in line with Sodom and Gomorrah. Is hospitality important? The rabbi's interpretation in the Mishnah said that the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was lack of hospitality. And I think they're right. Let me finish with this, and then we'll move on. Hebrews chapter 13, verses 1 to 3. Hebrews 13, 1 to 3. Keep on loving each other as brothers. Do not forget to entertain strangers. For by so doing, some people have entertained angels without knowing it. Remember those in prison as if you were their fellow prisoners, and those who are mistreated as if you yourselves were suffering. And there it is. And there is the highest value of the desert. And I think that value carries into the teachings of Jesus in the New Testament. And that value carries into the church that Jesus established. That is supposed to be the local church. And if our churches and our bodies don't have something in place to care for the poor and the needy and welcome strangers and those who are mistreated and those who are in prison and those who have needs, food and clothing and the basic necessities of life, if we're not doing anything about it, then I think Jesus will look at us and say, woe unto you. Woe to you, Sodom. Woe to you, Gomorrah. It's a sobering, serious message, isn't it? And it's one that kind of hits me right between the eyes. And it just really makes me think about what am I valuing and what am I doing? In the church, as the shepherd of the church, as the leader of the church. What am I pointing my people towards? What actions am I encouraging them to engage in? What care am I seeking them to offer? Right? God has shown the ultimate hospitality to us. He would die for us, then let anything happen to us by taking us into his house. Would we die? I mean, not a literal death, but you know what I mean. Would we die for those around us? I guess the first thing you have to do is notice them. You can't do anything until you notice them. So the first thing is to pay attention. Just identify some people and notice them. And then come up with a plan of action. And then do it. God made sure that part of the moral law of the Torah was to take care of the poor, needy, weak, orphans, and fatherless people. It says, I want them in. I want them in. And you get them in. And then when you get them in, you take care of them and you make sure they stay in. If you don't, it's serious business with me, says God. That's so. I think that's one of the greatest.
Hospitality is an expression. I don't want to say the greatest or the but hospitality is surely an expression of loving one another. Right? I mean, if you think someone else is greater than you, love them. I mean, you don't look at them and say, oh, or let me say that another way. You look at someone else and they are less than you, and you try to lift them up. That's love. That's the hospitality. Caring for others rather than yourself.
We had a sobering statistic at church a few weeks ago that the average Christian spends more on Halloween costumes for their dogs than they do on mission. Whether it be local mission, just helping others. And it was quite sobering to hear that.
And I think showing mercy is another way of hospitality. Not being quickly offended for every little thing. shake it off and brush it off and show mercy to people and forgiveness if you want that to come back to you. That's another form of hospitality.
I think we do that too in the name of the Lord. You know, we make sure if you're showing somebody hospitality, I guess you don't have to specifically say that you're doing it in the name of the Lord, but don't do it for yourself, to give yourself a good feeling of helping others. You're doing it because the Lord saved you and He was hospitable to you, so you're being hospitable to people as well.
It's a way of life.
Mm.
It doesn't draw attention to itself.
Goes back, I feel like, to the shepherd, how he's our hospitable shepherd. He takes care of us, but he takes care of himself.
Now, that little shepherd girl, she didn't stop moving the whole time we were there. She was taking care of her sheep.
It all stems from the heart on the inside. It's what kind of heart you have in you. You have a compassionate heart. You have a loving heart, a kind heart, giving heart. It starts here. It's not what you look like on the outside, it's what's here. And out of here comes out of here. And out of your mouth comes what you are here.